Today is going to be dating as an international student, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And more time, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our special guest today. Our guest today with Wind Down Winie Student World is Abimbola Iyun. How about you go ahead and tell us more about yourself? I know I did not scratch the surface in that introduction at all.
My name is Abby. My full name is Abimbola Iyun, but I go by Abby. Some people call me Abimbola. Just so many names, but Abby is fine.
Okay.
I am now a candidate, so I defended my proposal. So now I just have to work on the dissertation itself. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah. Talking about work and balancing dating and just being a human. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
What else? I love drinking tea. So today I actually I know we're supposed to drink wine, but I had some wine yesterday and maybe the day before. So I was like, let's start it. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to make some hot. So I have this and I have a pot of tea. So I'm going to be, refilling over time. What else? So my area of study is cinema and social change.
Okay.
So if you're interested in talking about films and social change and that kind of stuff, I'm your plug. What else? I'm looking forward to owning a dog soon. I'm not exactly sure when, because I know I have to get up and walk the dog often.
Wow.
So that's fun fact about me.
American. You're going to be one of those people
I know. In the street. I'm gonna have a baby, a dog thingy, the carrier. I'm joking. Yeah, it's okay. I'm still Nigerian. I still like jollof rice and plantain. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, dive into our topic today: dating as an international student. So, what has your dating experience been like since you kind of moved from Nigeria to the US? What has that looked like?
So it's been a journey. And part of that journey, which I think was one of the conversations that we had.
Yeah.
But it's been a journey. I think for me, it's been a journey first of meeting a lot of people. I make friends with people quite easily, somewhat. So I think I've been blessed to meet people and just get to know people from different cultures. That's the benefit of being in the US. You get to talk to people from different cultures, even from different, who have different religious beliefs than you, which is something I think we should also get into. So it's been beautiful, just getting to experience that. I'm going to tell you a funny story. And then also just cultural ethics, the way we will do things back in Nigeria or is different from the way other people would do it. And what's offensive to you may not be offensive to them. So it's also been such a learning curve. And I think right now it's made me expand my thinking also, and not being quick to judge other people or quick to say, oh my God, why do you do things like that? Or why do you eat that? It's no. We're all just special and unique. And, it's good to appreciate that. So that's what I would open with. It's been an interesting experience, and I'm glad that I've been able to meet different people from different cultures.
Yes. And I think that I couldn't agree any less, because one thing that leaving Nigeria would do for you is, first of all, even if you're in an international student community, it's people from different countries that are there to begin with. And so you're already, that's your interaction pool. And then add the fact that you are minority, or you're considered a minority population within an even bigger, diverse pool of people. So that in itself is the kind of the segue to the talk about dating. All right. So you've kind of already listed some good things that have happened, but are there other good things or lessons or benefits that you have kind of gained from trying or dating as an international student?
I think it's allowed me to get to know myself more. It's allowed me to dig deep. Like dating, I feel like dating will take you to places where maybe you didn't want to even go before. It will take you to places full flight, fully paid and all that. So it's allowed me to dig deep into myself, like to work on myself more, to find out, wait, okay, initially with dating, and I think this is still a perspective that's around a little bit, is we're very quick to say, oh my God, guys are crazy or my partner is crazy. But if some things keep happening consistently, maybe you should look this way.
The bottom denominator is common.
Yeah. Start asking yourself questions like, what am I permitting? And also, I'm very grateful also for the experience of like getting to know myself more, getting to know things I need to work on. Also, deciding to not date and enjoying my own company. I think that's another thing I've also enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then again, going back to the cultural thing, just having that ticket to see what other cultures are like. So I'm going to share a quick story because this is what we're here for anyway.
Yeah.
So I remember, I live in what would be considered part of the South in the US, which is like, very traditional, could be a tad racist and maybe a little more. So there was one time I went on a date with this white guy and we went to, it was like the back roads of nowhere, right? But there was supposed to be this really amazing fish restaurant. And we were driving, and of course, I was the only black person there. And when we stepped in, everyone just turned. Everyone just turned and looked at me like, I don't know if it was the audacity, like, how dare you bring this person here? But so me, when things like that happen, it makes me, I think it's adventurous, but you also have to be careful, stay safe. But it's like, oh my God, I'm excited I get to be in this space and see what you'll do. You're weird people. And we just sat down and we ate our own food and we were minding our business. And after that, we left. So just that, getting a gateway into different cultures, like, and seeing what different cultures are like with someone else also has been super, super fun. So those are two things, like getting to know myself, getting to know other people, taking lessons as time goes. And then another thing I'm also learning is I feel like coming from back home from Nigeria, the way I don't even know if they teach you how to date. We just talk about marriage. So it's just like you just like go from being born to not talking to people of the opposite sex or however you identify. And then from there, you just jump to marriage. No one teaches you, like, how do you date, And so there's that thing of when you meet someone, the first thing you want to sort out is, when are we getting married? Like, how is it? And that can suffocate a relationship or suffocate, like, okay, the question we should ask ourselves is, flip that back to you. If you meet someone today and they already start asking you about marriage, like within a week or two, it's like, can I know you first? Can you come? And so I've learned that also, like, get to know people. Don't waste time, but enjoy the process of getting to know people, like, have fun, ask questions. Oh, I'm not saying that you better ask questions, but make it fun. That is what really makes that journey exciting, because when you go in with that desperation of, hey, marriage, it's people are gonna leave, basically.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I noticed that the way we were raised, especially as Nigerian women, I don't know, I would want to generalize African women, but I think that might be a leap. But as Nigerian women, there was this whole, like, you have to walk the straight and narrow path. And then once you finish school, once you finish school, there'll be one man at the end of that tunnel that you have to marry like next tomorrow,
Exactly.
That's how that works. And I think coming to the US for me was like, okay, it's not like that. Like, there was this whole, like, first of all, it was so refreshing to see people who just dated. They didn't care about where it was going, where this was undergrad, of course.
Which is taboo.
Yeah,
where
which is very taboo from where we were coming from. Yeah. And so there were people who just, had a boyfriend every new semester or, just kind of lived, and you're like, People are not serious. Or,
Exactly.
the part that got me was people would like start dating and then Thanksgiving they would take them to their parents' house. That one, I'm like, if I take anybody to my house, you better be introducing yourself
It
from the
better be
gate.
serious.
The gate is like, hi, this is this person we are planning to get married next month. Like,
Yep.
you don't just take someone to the house, but I saw that all those things were different here. And it was eye-opening because it changed the way I thought about dating. And from what you're saying to it has changed the way you thought about
Oh,
dating.
definitely. I mean, I still struggle with, it's like kind of like there stories and ideals in your head. And even as I'm learning, there's times when I'm so scared and I'm like, but the season I'm in is like, it's better to learn and be scared and just experience a new journey and grow than stick to old ways of doing things and not change.
Yeah.
So it's still scary, but I'm like, you have to just expand your thinking and grow. Yeah.
That is so, so true. Okay. So let's start to dive deep into the meat of our talk today, right? How have you dealt with the pressure to be with someone? So, like, both of us are in our, well, let me speak for myself. I don't know how old you are, I'm guessing, because you look amazing. So, I'm in my late 20s. And I think being here for as long as I've been, for example, it's like, okay, my parents don't put pressure on me, but other people and others like, should be at finish school. Should be are now working. And all those things is to be like, okay, you've checked all the boxes. What are you waiting for? How do you deal with that pressure, or what has that experience been like, especially when you're far away from home?
Yeah, same with you. My parents don't put pressure on me. I mean, recently, of course, they started praying. Like when I call, like, oh, God, please let you. And I'm like, amen. But I've learned something, and I got this from Adora, which I think we both know. She said that the narrative you tell people is what they bring back to you. So I'm also. There's so much in owning your own story and being responsible for what's happening in your life. I'm beginning to see like the narrative I'm giving certain people, their friends, I feel like our close friends know us. They know the different parts of our life. So when you talk, you don't talk about relationship alone. And even if you do, it's out of fun, But then I've noticed like the other people who I'm not super close to, if I have that entry point where every time we hang out, we're only talking about relationship, that becomes the entry point into my life. And so every time they're always going to bring that up. Like, oh, so do you have a boyfriend now? And there was a time, okay, I'm going to use this as a frame. There was a time I was seeing someone and it didn't work. Well, there was this person who really wanted it to work out, bless her heart. And, when I decided to walk away, she was every time I'll see her, she would still keep talking about this same thing. Yeah. How is this person? I'm like, what part of I'm not talking to this person anymore? Don't you understand? Can you stop bringing that up over and over again? And even afterwards, every time I'll see this person, they will always talk about, so have you met someone? So have you met someone? So have you met? So what I decided to do is to introduce this person to different things I'm doing in my life. Like, oh, you're interested in grad school. I'm actually in grad school. So we started connecting with her. She started asking me about TOEFL and this and that. So we had other things to talk about. So I think one of the ways I deal with that is, apart from trying not to be rude, or just shutting down, is to be like, oh yeah, it's going. Oh, how about this other thing? Or ask them. My best friend told me this. Ask them something about their own life that they're working on. Like maybe they're going to school or they're going to work. Oh, how is work? How about that project you told me you were working on? Tell me more about it. And that kind of shifts the conversation. Because apart from that, you start to build some resentment for people who you're like, don't you get it? Can you just let it go?
Yeah.
Or, I'm just here for ice cream. Can we not talk about that? Leave me alone, please. So yeah, that's one approach. That's one way I deal with it. Sometimes I just don't entertain it. If there's someone I know if there are people I know and I'm not in the mood to have a conversation, I'm just not going to. Like, oh yeah, great, thanks. I move on, move away, move something, right? I've not done this yet because I've used other methods. Or sometimes you can just tell people, hey, every time you ask me this, it actually makes me uncomfortable. It brings my mind to think. Just let them know so that, and you'll be like, if you want to pray for me, if they're spiritual people, I'll appreciate that. But please try not to bring this up every time. Just frame the conversation in that way. But then let's be realistic. If it's family members, you just say amen. If they're praying for you, just... When they come with it, just say amen. Or like I have an aunt in Chicago who would ask me, when she doesn't see me, she'll be like, oh, I thought you were your boyfriend's or something. And I laugh it off, because family members are a little bit more difficult to deal with, especially the older aunties.
Yes, it's like they are here to stay. There's nothing you can do about it. They are in your life.
Yeah.
But I feel that's a way for those aunties, though. This is my...
Oh, okay.
This is a free tip, especially all those, wow, is it time? Are you praying for me? They will say yes. Of course, they will say yes, that they are praying for you. Be like, auntie, have you tried fasting? I think it's like an every Saturday thing. How about add fasting to it? I think God will really hear you. Because if this thing is that serious to you, you should be skipping meals for me. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Like, if you're not skipping any meal for me, you're not that worried. Auntie, are you fasting? God will take us more seriously. Let's start fasting more. Let you be the one to do that fast, though. I will eat, but... pray fast and pray. It will happen.
I like that. Oh my God. I love that. Yeah, we eat.
You're like, I've seen those like 90 days dry fasting. Auntie, do you want to join me to do it? Can we do together? When they see the shackers, they will let you go.
Yes.
But I think that it's really interesting. But the flip side to it, though, is that there's also the part where, as women and, people who at some point in their lives want a family, right? Like the pressure starts to, I won't say pressure, but the desire starts to be more within.
The desire. Yeah.
From
the desire.
To outside. And us that are in the abroad are notorious for, either not marrying or marrying at our own time. And there have been like comments and stories about how if you send your female child outside the US or outside Nigeria, sorry, I've actually heard that from someone that they're not going to get married. Wow. They're going to get married late. That was an excuse that the person gave for not sending their child or allowing their child to, go study in the US. And so there's this narrative going around. So the question is, when we do get to that point, though, or people that are at that point, or even students who come here for grad school, so they're not 17 or 18 or 19 and have time to really explore themselves. What should they be doing? How should they think about this? And how should they process it when they're at that phase where it's a real conversation that they're having within themselves?
That's a very honest question. Yeah, because I like that you brought that up, because apart from people asking us, sometimes we start asking ourselves. Like, I've had moments where, I have moments all the time where, I'm asking myself, or I see not just a movie, maybe I see an older couple walking down the street and I'm like, God, I feel like if I still somehow and my heart is towards heaven, maybe God feel them exactly. God, come on, man, because I do want something beautiful. We want peaceful homes. You want to be with someone who brings you joy, and so that happens. And I don't have any special answer apart from actually let that moment, motivate you. Yeah. Let it motivate you. So one of the things I used to do, which I want to go back to, is I have a vision statement for like every area of my life. And when I used to actually read it out to myself every morning, I haven't done that in a long time. Like this is the kind of person I want to be with. So when I feel that desire, it's like, I can see the picture, I can see the image. And I think it starts to, a lot of psychologists have actually said it starts to propel you to desiring the right people. Because I think when you come to the abroad, you meet a lot of, I will not use the word, but you meet different kinds of people.
You meet a lot of frogs.
You meet different kinds of people, and if you let that desire motivate you to desire the right kind of people, and to not just settle with the frogs, if that makes sense. Because you could settle with the frogs, you could go with there's a culture of dating here too. You could, and if that culture of dating works for you, go for it. But if that's not what you want, let your desire for, because you would. So one thing I've found out too is when I actually meet people, or the guys that I've met here who are like, oh my God, you're the most amazing person in the world, I wasn't trying to impress them. I was being myself. So those are moments when I go to parties, I'm like, hey, me, I came to this party for jollof rice. Where is it? Right? You know, you're being goofy and funny, and you're asking questions, and people get to see you in your full glory, even without you trying hard.
Yeah.
And then they fall in love with you, or they like you, or whatever, right? Yeah. So I think we should also put ourselves, apart from, when we feel the desire, let it follow you and all that stuff, have fun, go out, relax. It's hard. I don't know how to say, but it's hard to relax, but you have to relax. Like, just what I tell myself sometimes is like, you know what, today I like the sun, I love nature. So I just look at it, I'm like, oh my God, it's so beautiful today. I love nature. I'm going to have fun with my friends. And I let that pressure of being with someone go. And I'm telling you, most times when I've met people, it's usually those moments, because I don't care. If I want to drink a whole bottle of wine, I'm going to drink a whole bottle of wine, whatever it is. And then I'm not at that moment, I'm not under pressure to say what someone likes so they can like me back. So then we can also say the things we really stand for. So if your own thing is you want marriage, people are here who are like, I don't believe in marriage. I don't want a paper to tell me about commitment and stuff like that. You open your mouth, be like, me, I want. You're goofy, and you're not saying it in a desperate way. You're being goofy about it. So people are like, oh my God, she's so fun. She's so confident, but she knows what she wants, right? They can like you and like you from afar and not come and waste your time. That works, right? And if they're interested, they'll come, so that's like how I kind of deal with it. Of course, if you're spiritual, I'm a Christian. If you're a Christian, you pray about it. And it's not even just the fasting. Can I get into the fasting and prayer is great. It is good. It's amazing. I'm not going to be one of those 2020 questions that are like, oh my gosh, why do we have to fast and pray about everything? Like, God knows already. It's good to fast and pray. But there's something about also speaking to God from your heart. Like, you really know and just, so when we feel that way, to have those heartfelt conversations and then talk to your friends, your close circle, those people who know you well. I have 2 close friends that we have a group chat, and we just randomly text each other like, oh my God, I'm feeling that way today again. And then we encourage each other. Because being in the US, there can be a lot of isolation. Sometimes you even want to hang out. Everyone is busy. There are times during the week that happens. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Maybe I've been grading or something. And there's nobody to hang out. My friends are doing stuff. And I just take myself out. Like, I even drink wine on Wednesday. Nobody's coming to carry me. I'm like, well, to enjoy myself. I just go somewhere by myself, take myself out on a date, chat with my friends in Nigeria. And that moment passes on, right? So those are some things. And sometimes it's just going to feel heavy. Life.
That's true. I completely agree with everything you have said. One thing that has helped me a lot recently is just taking the pressure of the timelines away. Like, just kind of removing all those things. And
you're going to be 30 soon. You're going to be
this soon. You're going to be that soon. And it's very freeing when that happens. There was a time in my young Nigerian girl head where I swore I was going to be married by 25. And it was like, I knew the year, I knew the date. This was, of course, in secondary school when you have very few things to worry about in your life. But I remember looking back, recently, and I was like, I wasn't ready to marry anybody at 24 or 25. And, there was something very liberating about, like, life is this beautiful, evolving journey. And the problem is that when we start to have all these caps at the back of our head, and it doesn't help when all these people on the internet come and be like, hey, told God it was 23. Or it was
You read my mind. You read my mind.
And then when 2020 started, I spoke it into the existence.
You read my mind. Oh my God, yes.
There, and then the usher was like coming this way, and it's like, oh God.
And you're like, I didn't write it down. This is true. You're right.
Yeah, and it has a way of, even something that I've even learning a lot recently is this process of unlearning. It's like, okay, like, why am I thinking about this part of my life this way? Why am I thinking about this part of my life this way? And can I unlearn that? Like, what's that there to unlearn? And I think that in itself is a beautiful journey, to just be like, I don't have to think this way anymore. I don't have to think this way anymore. You understand? And it really helps, not just in dating or in the way I see relationships, but in kind of like the entire, life in general. And so, yeah, I agree.
I love that.
Okay. All right. We've been dropping some gems here, and I'm really grateful for all the things I'm learning from you. So let me get our next question.
Okay.
Small pool or higher standards? What would you say is our biggest struggle? Like a small pool of people to choose from that kind of fit what we are looking for. Like, for example, I have said multiple times that, I'm open, doesn't matter who I end up with, right?
Yeah.
However,
this was.
However, I have some people from some people that are like, I think my door is not quite as open. It has stopped halfway. And it's like, you see, because when you say you're open, you really see people from all kinds of backgrounds, with all kinds of cultures and all kinds of values. And it's different. And so I started to think, okay, do we really have a decent pool of people to choose from as people from foreign countries who maybe have values or cultural preferences that are attached to certain things? Or do we just have higher standards? Or is it both?
I feel like we're vibing off of each other, because when in 2018, I think I was like, I'm just going to be open, and like, I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to date and learn, because that's why I've succeeded so much with my career. Is like, even when things don't work out, I keep learning and I keep going. So I'm like, just date and learn and keep going. That your emotions are not, it's not that easy, right? And then I'm like, I'm very open. Is that what it is? So when I think about that, I'll also say we also need to expand our perspectives, because for me, it's like there was a time I had very strict, how do I say, requirements, or what I was looking for. And now I'm more interested in character. Like before, I used to say, oh my God, I want someone. When we say I want a godly man, what do we even mean?
Does that mean?
I used to say I want a godly man. I want a Christian man. I've met people who identify as Christian and they're frogs. I'm sorry, So let's reevaluate, like, it's good to have high standards, and the other thing you said as well. But I think also I'm beginning to own my perspective, changing my perspective about some of the things I want. Instead of just saying I want a godly man, I'm like, I want a man with character. What kind of character am I looking for? Emotional intelligence. I can be across from you telling you how my day went, and it just drops like that, it's like, I want to be able to vibe with you on a level. Emotional intelligence, like understanding when to talk, what to say, how to communicate. Someone who is actually looking into that and willing to learn more, things like that. And when we now start looking at that, it seems like pool is, how do you say, it's not so wide, but these people exist. It's just being in the circle of where they are is the theme. And for international students, I mean, we have so much going on, so the question that I usually get with my friends is, where do we find people like that? That's the question. Where do you find people like that? Because there are a lot of people like that. I mean, look at how many books get published every year about emotional intelligence, finance, and people who are buying it. Of course, some of those people are married, but some of those people are single and they want to learn. And so it's where do you find people who believe these things that you believe? And then, of course, being Nigerian, just some certain things that it's not being traditional, that we value. Right. And also changing your perspective is like, for me, even if the person doesn't do that thing this way right now, is this someone open to learning? Right. So that's why another thing I'm interested in with someone I want to be with is how open are they to learning and adapting? So they may not be like, they may not be like that right now, but are they a learner? Are they people who adapt? Can you see traces of that in their life right now? Because you don't just want to date potential. And you see when you meet people like that, there are friends I have, who are white or, just friends of color from different backgrounds. And maybe you make amala or something. They're like, oh my God, I don't know what that is, but I really want to try it out. And they're honest with you when they eat. They're like, oh, the consistency is quite different, but this is really, tell me more about it. So with our standards, the people we're interested in may not exactly be that way now, but the character of getting to that standard, do they have it? Yeah. So because I look back at when I was in Nigeria and guys that I could have dated, and one of the reasons why I didn't date them is because they didn't have the things on my list as it was. And now I'm looking at them 5 years. They're doing some of those things now. But I couldn't see the future to know. But one thing I knew for sure was those guys had those character traits, right? So changing your perspective is not dating potential, not dating someone who is promising without putting in the action, but people who are learners, people who want to adapt, people who are open to you challenging their views. Yes. Men like that are beautiful, because they're humble. They're like, oh, I was wrong. Oh, tell me what I did. Tell me how I can learn. So, but apart from that, your standards, it's good for our standards to be high in a reasonable way. And you won't just find these people just anywhere. Imagine Winie, like you're probably at work, like so much of the time. You're doing this IG live now. People like that are busy is what I'm saying. But they're going to be scars. Because we're scars too. They're going to be scars. They're going to be minding their business somewhere. So there definitely is a limited pool somewhat, but they can find us. We can meet is my point. I don't know if that answers the question.
It does. It really does answer the question. And I mean, you hit the nail on the head with just the difference between character. Like the hardest thing for me in any human being is honesty. Like that's my little button. Like when I meet someone who is just, this is who I am, this is how it looks, and doesn't try to like sugarcoat it or color it, like that's my little button. And I realized that I wasn't seeing that in the so-called Christian men you meet in church a lot. And so it's like, it made me really take a step back and reevaluate this list. Of course, my faith is very important with me, and I want to end up with someone who shares my faith. But the criteria for defining that really expanded and became bigger. And it was also a reflective moment for me. Like I went to a Nigerian church up until the time I came to my current location. And even looking back when I was husband, I was like, I didn't see that many happy marriages. Like, and it was, I had to tell myself the truth. Like there are very few people that I saw in church and I'm like, I would like to live in your home. No, like the vibe was off, the way they were with each other. It was such a weird thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to end up like this because this community or our culture requires that I marry at a certain age, or I date this kind of person, or I marry this kind of person. I had to actually take a step back and start looking at this so-called list that we come up with and we build, And the most important part is also looking at myself through that list, right? Like, how am I growing? How am I being this person? Because it's not just ending up with an amazing man. It's I have to be or I want to be the person
They're
where
cooking.
this man looks at me in the morning and is like, thank you, Jesus, twice. You understand? Or like, I'm grateful that whatever stars lined up and I ended up with this woman, and not just me wanting them to be amazing and then just staying, the way that I am. And I realized that if you think about it that way, you see that you have more stuff to do on yourself, more
Yes.
things to grow. Like, you keep feeling like you're not ready because you see all these areas of growth and weaknesses that honestly are there. And there's something so beautiful about that level of self-awareness that refuses or changes the way you see things. All right.
Yes.
High standards, I'm all for it. And also standards that represent what defines you. It's not just high standards. It's like, okay, what makes me happy? What do I want to do? And kind of, where do I see myself?
I love that.
All right. Dating outside your tribe or outside your country or outside your race? What have you done?
I actually am that person who has done that. So what you said about standards that define you and all that, and also maybe because I just love to explore worlds outside of my own. So I've usually dated outside of my country. I've usually dated people from other countries. I've dated Nigerians too, but sorry. Okay. I didn't mean to make that face. Okay. Beautiful Nigerian men are beautiful people. I'm not trying to say anything, but I've not always had the best experience. And it's not to say it's because of country. I mean, either way with dating, everyone is unique. Everyone brings their own experiences to the table. It's been its own unique journey for each person. But I've dated from other countries, and there's just a lot of learning that goes on in dating. It's a learning curve, like learning how to communicate. If you're dating, so something you should know if you're dating outside of your tribe or culture or race, communication. How does that person communicate in his family? Different. Speaking as a woman. So understanding that, because they may say some things to you like, how dare you, or why would you say that? And to them, it's like, that's sort of big deal to me. So that's one thing I've learned, dating outside of my culture, country, and all of that stuff. And you really have to ask yourself, so we usually make this joke, like, are you dating because someone actually said this yesterday, because you want to savor the different ethnic grapes or something? I'm like, that sounds like a racist comment. But it was like, some people just want to date outside because they were like, oh, I want to know what it's like to date someone from this country. Yeah. It's like, you play, okay, good, that's fun, but people are not objects that you just date because you want a cultural experience. Have friends, ask your friends questions. Yeah. But dating outside of your culture, tribe, or anything is like you have to learn again. That what's the person's cultural experience? What are taboos? What are things you shouldn't do? What are things that may throw them off? And also for you and stuff like that. But I think as internationals, you should be open to that too, because I'm open to dating Nigerian men too. I'm not, of course, right. As far as, we vibe on the same level. But being open to dating outside your own immediate space, again, challenges your list. Like, oh my God, again, it has to be a black man, or it has to be, you're after character and you're after values, So if that comes in from a different person that you usually date, try it out, try it out. Sometimes you don't even know. And I know some of my friends who swear I would never date anybody outside of my race. If that's what you want to stick to, that's fine, but I'm an advocate for just try and see. And if you try it out and see and you're like, this shit is not working.
You tried.
You tried. Yeah, you tried. Because you never know sometimes. And again, that's how you know. When you try and you're like, no, that's absolutely not for me. And it's absolutely not working. We don't have the same value. We don't see life the same way. I'm not doing this again. Good. How about you?
So, this is going to sound real funny or weird, depending on how the person hears it. I typically said I was open. But there's only one color of man that gets me tingling from my feet to my head.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that has always been my thing. It's like, yes, I hear you, I see you, I'm open, all that good stuff. But I noticed that if I actually ever turn my head and be like, "Ooh, that guy is fine," yes,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
I had to actually start asking myself, "Okay, is this like a mindset thing, or is this like a true? This is what I find.
What you like?
Yeah, what I like." I have been on like a lunch thing. I don't even know whether to call that a date with a white guy, and the entire time there, I was missing the Nigerian,
The inside joke. Yeah.
that. And I was like, oh, this is nice and slow.
I know what you mean. I know what you
It was
mean.
just very different. And I think that for me, it's like, okay, am I not open enough? Like, tear the openness, or is this really, who I am and what I have, what I find attractive and what I like. And so, and I mean, my parents are from different tribes, and so I was never with the mindset that I had to end up with a certain kind of man or a certain tribe of men. That's the people who I've heard people actually say that in the US. And I just remember thinking, well, good luck with your single life. It's like, I must marry a guy from Oyo State. I'm like, we are in.
Where will you find Oyo? I mean,
Mozambique, Montana.
What?
Like, all right, fine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, if you're on that ship, I hope your telephone line to heaven is quite strong. You're going to need a map, a GPS, and a pointer to locate that Oyo State man or Ekiti State woman or Abia State man. More power
Good luck.
to you. Good luck. But I think that it's a real conversation. And what I have found is, I haven't had this personal experience. The people that I have seen happy when they dated outside their race or outside their country, truly happy, not settling, the people that are like what you described, which is they are with this person who is like, I want to get to know your culture. I want to insert myself into who you are, what defines you, what makes you happy, and vice versa. And my recommendation to any international student is, you should take out the limits of the tribe, the country, the race. If you're with someone who is really interested, which is if you bring out amala, if you bring out bring out stew, they're like, grab me a spoon. If that person is color purple, they're a good person. You understand?
That I agree with you.
That I think is big. And because I noticed that those of us that are international students, we're already here, and so we are forced to assimilate. We are forced to eat different foods. We are forced to even learn different things. But when the people who are native end up with us, they are choosing to do those things. And there's such a huge difference in the dynamic of that. And so somebody has to really value that choice to make you happy in your relationship.
Yes, I like that you mentioned that, because that is 100% what that's 100% what I go for. First of all, if you're already giving me attitude about my culture, we won't even gel, So most of the people I've dated are people who, that was maybe the connecting point for us. Is like, oh my God, I've been here, I've been there, I want to learn, I want to do this. And it's not just, there's a thin line there. You don't just want to date someone who is dating you for the cultural experience. Like, you're not a freaking museum. You're not an artifact in a museum where people just come to date you because they're coming to, yes, they're coming to sample you and turn you around.
Yeah.
This is not, I've forgotten that woman's name in history where they were turning her around in a museum. We're not doing that. So it's not just about the cultural experience. It's like, they're really excited. And it's not just because you're international, because they also like you and they want to get to know you, right? And it's their character, it's who they are.
Yeah.
So even if they're not doing it with you, whether it's about learning about stars, they're that same way. Those are the kind of people I've been with, and it's been beautiful. So it's not, when we go out and I'm like, I want to go to a Nigerian restaurant because I've not eaten amala. And everyone, they're like, oh yeah, no, let's do it. And you know, some of the time we try something different. So it's like, because I know I love to explore and I love to try things, I'm usually attracted to people who love that as well. So we explore together, you know, so I'm not the one being explored. You know, we're doing this journey together. Yeah, because that's, and then the inside Nigerian jokes, oh my God, yes, that's one thing I love about dating Nigerian men. You guys can just, you know, you can just see this lascivity video and quickly send it to them, and you guys are laughing. They'll get it, you know. But I've had a friend, we didn't date, but we're close friends who, even if he's like, tell me, I want to know, explain the joke. I'm like, by the time I explain the joke, it will no longer be funny. But it's like, no. And he would even laugh sometimes. And I'm like, do you really get it? Or are you just laughing?
You contributing to the conversation.
And, you know, but, you know, it blew my mind that he was so interested in learning. And he had been to Ghana and he loved spicy food and all this stuff. So he really wanted to get into the whole, tell me about La Sicilian, tell me about all of them. I want to know, you know. So, yeah. That's all for now.
Okay. All right. So let's get a little personal. This is of course going to be out in the public, so share whatever you feel.
I feel comfortable
living out there for a while. What painful experience relationship wise have you encountered, or what have you experienced that was painful, and how did you get through that?
So the most painful one, I shared one with you personally, but I'm not even sure. I don't think that's the most painful one, because the one I shared with you before this chat, it was a quick turnaround. I was like, yeah, not working, moving on, bye. Okay, I'm sad a little bit, but okay, bye. You know, but the most painful one was, someone I met who I actually, what you said about honesty, I actually thought this person was serious and really interested. And I don't know if they were or they weren't, but, you know, I really committed in my mind to like making it work, you know, and I've learned when you meet someone, try to relax, you know, when your emotions are going, do other things, hang out with the person, but do other things. So you're not just putting all of that energy on that one person at once until you really know what they're up to.
About, yeah.
Exactly. Until you really know what they're about, and then go for it. It was a painful experience also because, you know, it was also a whole church thing. So I think that kind of scarred my whole church thing. But it was a whole church thing of, you know, I'm serious, I'm praying about it. That line now, maybe I need to talk to... Are you drinking the old bus?
That is the Christian guide code for...
I'm not interested.
Because I'm like, if you're praying about this, how about you even say hello, how are you after you have prayed? Can you not pray when I'm here? Like, pray before we meet. Or, let me help you. Make a clean break. End it. If you're
go and pray. Yes.
You need to actually go pray. Just tell me we are not doing again. And then I know that if we ever come back to this, God has woken you up in the night with a bright light with my face.
Exactly.
So continue. I've been scarred.
I've been scarred. Yeah, true. I think I'm still scarred with the whole praying about it. Like I'm trying not to say some things, but basically go and pray and then talk to, you know. So one thing it took me a while to, I want to understand it. It took me a while to understand it because, you know, I'm very logical sometimes. I'm like, if you wanted to pray, why did you come talk to me if you were not sure? If we want to go that spiritual line and we're not just going the whole dating line of, okay, I see someone, I want to get to know the person, in between I'm going to pray or whatever. But, you know, I just want to start a conversation. If we're not going that way, you want to go all spiritual on me, then why did you start something if you knew you were going to fast and pray for 100 days? And so throughout the whole experience, I'm praying about it. And I believed it. So this was, I think, where the sparring came from. You know, I believed it, but I found out the person wasn't praying. They were just messing around. They were just joking. And so, but the whole time I was praying, I was being serious. I was investing my emotions, and I don't want to play the victim. Of course, I should have read the signs. I should have. That's one thing I learned. Follow actions, don't follow words. So I should have followed the actions. And this is one thing I've seen again. I should have followed the mixed signals, right? So if the mixed signal, they said if someone is giving you mixed signals, that's the answer. The mixed signals is the answer.
Mixed signals is the answer.
So go,
Yeah.
leave. And I did leave. The time I left, I actually left. I think I stopped responding. I'm not even sure if I blocked the person. So just poof.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, no, don't go, come back. I'm tired. I can do this, and but even in the middle of that, you still, whether ladies, whatever, gents, even if someone is telling you they want you back, look at what they want you back for. Are they saying what they want you back for, or they're just saying they want you back? Because some people just want you back for attention, because they want your attention, not because they want you, not because they want to commit to you. And so I have used that moving on, dating afterwards. If someone is saying, I want you back, but what's going on, blah, 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 what do you want me back for? If you're not clever or you want back for, go away.
Yeah.
Go play or something. So anyways, once you're back, I'm like, okay, so I tried again. Just very not a good, it didn't result into anything. So I finally left, just did the whole thing. And it was painful because, it was church and there were people involved and people would see, Nigerians, we have to do better. This whole church thing, like, let people process. Don't see me in church and be like, oh, so how did it go? So don't worry, God will. Right now, I don't want to hear any of that. I just want to process this pain. And if you want me to curse you out, just leave me alone. So it was.
To that.
This is not the time where you hear God works saying you don't know what God did this for. I know, but just let me process. So, I'm thankful for my friends. I had good friends. My friends were like, now you need to redirect the conversation because people will keep bringing this up. Yeah. And that's the same thing Adora said. If you lean into that framework of your life, if you let your breakup or whatever be the only story about your life, trust me, people will help you. Yeah. They will create a whole PD party with jollof rice and plantain and kids dodo and wine. And y'all are going to be PD party together. And if you're not careful, 10 years down the line, you're still going to be talking about that guy you met in 20, whatever, Birch. So I had to, so my friend was like, redirect the conversation. So even though I was hurting here, I would dress up. When I'm going out, hey, right? You see me come now, I'm not even red lipstick popping, everything. I'll dress up. People will be like, oh my God, you moved on so fast. Because what they've been seeing before was just me being like, oh my God, this hurt. I don't know what to do. Yeah. I don't know how to process it. How do I work? But when they saw me on the outside that I was fine, everybody was fine too. And when they try to bring the whole, so what happened between you? I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's over. We're good. I don't even want to talk about it. Let's do this. And let's go for this thing. Yeah. And that helped. Yeah. And when I was by myself, I would process it with my close friends, right? With my faith, I think it challenged my faith a lot because then I was like, God, were you, what happened there? Is it like you didn't tell the person what's going on? And then I found that, God is never the enemy. It's, if you're a spiritual person, God is redirecting the narrative about my life on the outside. And then on the inside, taking time to process the pain, like, journaling, writing down what I want for my marriage. Okay. And then all these people who will be sharing, I told God 2020, April 5. Please, you people, wherever you are, God bless you. God bless you. God bless you, but
to wrap up now because we're about to run out of time, and then I'll reach out and then we'll come back.